Hi guys, welcome to another 2-minute devotion with Dad. We're still in Mark chapter 14, and Jesus has taken the disciples to Gethsemane. And this is the part where he prays 3 times and finds them asleep. And as I was reading today, it just so happens that this was the morning after I watched a certain episode in The Chosen. And last night we sort of watched a certain scene, and I sort of interpreted for the audience there. And then it's incredible that this part of the Bible actually sort of helps to explain. So I wanted to show you something. Gethsemane in Aramaic means oil press. Remains an olive grove to this day. It is called a garden in John 18 verse 1, and Luke in 22:39 indicates that it was a favorite place for Jesus and his disciples. Luke 22:39. So if we just go across quickly to here, because it's not the focus, but I want to show you. It says here, went to the Mount of Olives as usual. So it means they go off, and it's a very common place for them if they go to. So Jesus has gone to an olive grove. Now the scene showed, without giving any spoilers if you haven't seen it, briefly it just showed Jesus looking on to the process of the first press of an oil harvest, and you could see the oil dripping down the sides of the contraption that they were in, and it was being caught so that it could be used for service. And looking on, it sort of it caused Jesus a bit of distress. He was already distressed when he walked into this scene, and then he watches this process, and it makes him a bit emotional. And so I just sort of, we're not knowing at the time that this place was the Gethsemane potentially, I just sort of interpreted, he's taking on the burden, because he shows the rocks being pulled down onto the piece of wood that's squishing it all. And it was very poignant, but this actually helped to make it a bit clear, because Gethsemane was an olive grove. And so this is where these things happen. So it was great how they tied that in to the show. But another thing that has occurred to me here, which was amazing, and probably would not have realized it in light of this, over here it says, where is it? Here we go. So the third time he prayed and found them sleeping as before. He returned to them and said they found them sleeping because they could not keep their eyes open. And if you go into the Greek, it actually says their eyes were heavy, or the Gold King James says their eyes were heavy. And the Greek word for that word heavy means burdened and pressed, like the word used for weighty. And if you just sort of think about, my mind went back to the process of those rocks weighing down that log, which was causing the oil to come out. The whole place was a place of almost spiritual pressure. I don't want to say depression, but spiritual weightiness. And isn't it interesting that Jesus went here to pray when he felt the entire weight of his shoulders, of the world on his shoulders? Really mincing my words today. So he felt the entire world's burden on his shoulders as he was in Gethsemane, the oil press. The disciples felt their own burden in their eyes. They were so heavy they couldn't keep them open, and they were pressed. And it just creates this this metaphor of pressure, of weightiness, of burden. And this is the scene for where this all happens. So it's just sort of, it spoke volumes to me today when I read that, in light of what I'd watched literally last night, reading this, and it just had a new sense of freshness for me. And I just wanted to convey that today for you guys. And this is the clincher though. This is like wow factor. He cried, Abba Father, everything is possible for you. Please take this cup of suffering away from me. Yet I want your will to be done, not mine. And Jesus, I sort of spoke about this when I went through the Matthew version. Jesus asked God to take away his cup. Even then, God did not take it away from him. Just think about that for a second. Jesus, in the Old Testament, the Old King James, it says, you can do everything, Nothing is impossible. You can do it all. Like, just take it away. Jesus basically said, God, you can do this. Take it away. And yet, that was not taken away from him. And this is an example of where Jesus had to push through his lot. We talk about often how this is what we've got to do. This is your lot to do. And this was Jesus's lot. That's what he had to do. And I know you've heard of people saying of other things that they've done, oh, if I can do it, you can do it. Oh, you got no excuse. If I can, I'm a nobody and I was hopeless and I still did it. So you should be able to do this. Think of it as in the reverse. Jesus did this, the most humanly impossible thing in the history of the world. Took on his shoulders the entire sins. He did this. And because he was refused his burden of grief to be relieved of him, how much more should we anticipate having to go through our burdens, whether it be grief or difficulties or whatever, without our cup being taken away from us? And that's the more we think about that. Jesus did this. He was a human. When I say human, not just like merely a human being, but yeah, he was reduced to human capacity, and he took this burden on, and yet he was not relieved of it. How much more should we go through our burden, our lot, our difficulty, knowing that we can do it, we should be able to do it. And just think, sort of dwell on these words a bit as you think about your situation, your context. God will give you the strength. He will help you through this. That whatever your weight you're feeling, your burden, whatever's weighing you down, he was able to do it. God will help you through too. And sometimes you got to take your burdens to the olive grove, to the wine press. You need to get this out, because it's, when the olive is pressed, it is crushed. It is absolutely, what a beautiful metaphor. Like, he says, my soul is crushed. And you can just really see when the oil is released, the purity that comes out of it, from the preparation, the olive is destroyed. And this is where Jesus was going with this. So a bit of a deeper one today, I guess. I just wanted to explain about the olive grove and the scene, but there's so much more in here than that. It's so deeper. That the setting is very symbolic. The scene that played out is even more symbolic for what was about to happen. And don't ever lose the poignancy of this moment. Don't ever just go, oh yeah, he found him asleep. The sleep has nothing to do with it. I haven't even got to the sleep part yet. But what Jesus was bearing in his soul, ready for the next day, was phenomenal. God will help you through yours. Just ask him, because likely he won't take away your cup either. So you've got to drink it. You've got to go through it. You've got to endure it and come out the other side. And that is where the blessing will be. Bless you guys. Have a great day, and I'll see you at the next one. Bye.